Now, I'm going to introduce some theories and arguments by professors and other scholars and pundits. And I chose three professors' arguments. First, Professor Andrew Cooper. He is a political scientist in Canada, and he made a new concept of niche diplomacy. In his article, Niche Diplomacy, a conceptual overview, he claimed two things, basically. First, middle powers with like-minded countries. In other words, all the middle powers share the similar things, similar ideas or similar perceptions about the world affairs or about the soft issues they are concerned with, who share similar capabilities, with their influence to promote the progress of international society. So like-minded countries. And secondly, their diplomatic efforts focus on consensus and cooperation among states in special issue areas, particularly in soft issues. And theories of middle power in the beginning were initiated most by Canadian and Australian scholars. And recently, South Korean scholars joined these prominent scholars. In other words, these days we can find many literature or political discourse, books or articles, either in Canada or Australia or in South Korea. So middle power diplomacy is one of the South Korean politicians' major concerns. Now, let me explain about the niche diplomacy. Niche in dictionary means a job, activity, etc., etc. There's a very suitable for someone. For example, finally, I found a job in teaching as a niche for my career. Or she finally found a niche in her career. Niche is a suitable for me or for her or him. It's a suitable job, suitable activity. So middle powers are categorically different because of their reliance on diplomacy and specific conditions. Under these conditions, they pursue foreign policy. So middle powers do not rely on physical force. They try to solve the problems with peaceful means, diplomacy. Also, middle powers favor multilateral foreign policy, not unilateral. Middle powers do not pursue any solving the problems alone. They try to solve problems with other middle powers. Multilateral foreign policy. And formation of coalitions. Make a coalition with other countries to solve the problem, rather than unilateral decision-making in foreign policy, rather than doing alone. Middle powers always try to make the collective actions or multilateral foreign policies in order to solve the problem. So the style of diplomacy used by middle powers is labeled niche diplomacy, mainly because middle powers have to follow limited foreign policy objectives as a result of their power capabilities. Their power is lower than that of great powers or superpowers, but is higher than lesser powers, because middle powers are in between superpowers or great powers or lesser powers. So middle powers do not challenge the status quo in the international system. Status quo probably a very a strange word to you, my students. It's a Latin word. Status quo means the as it is. As it is. So middle powers do not challenge the policies of status quo by the great powers. Because superpower or great powers are having vested interests or prestige in the existing international order. So they do not want to change any order which they have been benefited from for a long time. Anyway, so middle powers also now want to challenge this status quo in the international system. Second scholar I would like to introduce is David Hunt, his concept of good citizens. Middle powers are, according to Hunt, good citizens of international society. They respect the rules of the game and abide by international norms. They always respect rules of the game, international norms, which are made by great powers or the superpower. So they never challenge great powers' prestigious policies nor structural power. Instead, they try to change. They never change. They never try to change the rules of the game. Instead, they try to modify them only a little bit, because middle powers are good citizens of international society. So this concept was made by Professor David Hunt. Now, third theory is made by Professor John Ravenhill. He illustrated 4 roles performed by great powers. First, great powers are doing functions as a catalyst. According to the dictionary, catalyst is an agent that provokes or speeds a significant change or action. So catalyst induces a significant change or action in international affairs. So middle powers could be catalysts. Second role which middle powers are functioning is the being facilitator. According to the Webster Dictionary, there are 2 meanings in the word facilitator. First, a person to make things easier. Second, facilitator is a person to help something run more smoothly and effectively. So, middle powers as facilitator make the things easier in international relations or international problems or conflicts, or middle powers as a facilitator help things in international affairs run more smoothly, easily, and more effectively. Fourth role middle powers carry out is the manager for institution buildings or in institutions. So middle powers are good managers in managing the whole international buildings made by a superpower or great powers. Last function that middle powers are playing is the being a mediator. They reconcile or they mediate. They search for collaboration in order to solve international problems. So these are the four functions that middle powers are doing in order to remain as a good citizen with like-minded countries.